be proven. That's why they call it blind faith. You can't prove there's a God. And the same way that I can't prove there isn't a God. So when I say there is no God, I don't mean to say there truly is no God, because that's a truth, an absolute truth, and there's no absolute truth in the world. What I say instead is there's no evidence of a God. And I'll tell you later on what will actually convince me, because I am convincible, like everybody else. Something that cannot be proven, something that makes them feel more comfortable, that isn't intangible. In my world, in my opinion, excuse me, that is a false, comforting world. Well, why am I an atheist? Another reason is that I accept scientific research as fact. Many, many things that were explained by supernatural forces in the past are now very clear and can be explained by a 10-year-old. Excuse me. Thunder, lightning, rain, disease, cancers, the sun and why seasons are created, earthquakes and tsunamis, why seasons, or did I say that again? I did say that. Where else humans came from, more about that, and how the universe created is accepted by scientific fact by a huge majority of scientists who work in their respective fields. I'm not going to say, I'm going to stop here for a moment, I'm not going to say that the scientists know what happened at the Big Bang or before the Big Bang, because scientists are actually very humble in that respect. If you ask a scientist what happened before the Big Bang, they'll have to say, well, I don't know. But if you take a second, and you take a trillionth of a second, and then you take a trillionth of a second after the Big Bang, they've actually made a mathematical model that fits how the universe is now from that trillionth of a second after the Big Bang. And if you want more information on that, I can guide you to the right resources. We are discovering things on Earth and through the universe that are so majestically amazing that even a good science fiction writer could not have thought of them. This is another reason I do not believe the God of the Bible. But there would be many things that God could have done to support his omniscience or all-knowingness. Here's one of them. And this would convince me that there might be a God. Wouldn't totally convince me. There'd have to be several things. What if God told you, if one of the authors of the Bible, to write E equals mc squared, and said in the Bible, this will be a great scientific discovery in the future? That would be pretty good evidence of an omniscient God who knew everything, and he convinced somebody to put it in the Bible. Of course, they wouldn't understand what it was, but, 1,700 years later, we saw that, and a scientist saw that, and Einstein saw that. He says, wow, he's absolutely right. That's pretty convincing, wouldn't it be? That's almost too convincing. But it would be very convincing. Another thing would be, and I'm going to go off topic a little bit here, if aliens landed in every capital in the world, out walked an alien with a big head and big eyes, and underneath his arm was a Bible in his language, that would pretty much convince me that it's possible there might be a God. Or, if aliens were around 2,000 years ago, they could have planted their own Bible. In fact, Jesus could be an alien. I rather think that Jesus was an alien than God, because any technologically superior, any superior technology from the future will look to us as if it's magic. Look at if a 747 landed anywhere in the world 300 years ago. Whoever stepped out on that plane would have been treated like a god, just like Cortez did with the Incas or Mayans, one of those two. Here's another. What if God told any person of authority, religious or not, from the 5th century to start washing their hands? That's all. Very simple. Could even be in the Bible. Start washing their hands. How many millions would have not contracted any disease? Because obviously germ theory wasn't even discovered until the early or late 1700s. Probably hundreds of millions of people would have been saved by that. What if there was a message of love consistent through the entire Bible, instead of love and hate and destruction? Over 371 people were killed, if you count them up, and somebody actually did, count the people up that God killed in the Bible directly without any human intervention. That's a lot. And there's answers from apologetics that I've heard from that. But it's a good question. If you're a Christian, you might say God did not do these things because he wanted us humans to learn on their own. Well, at first that might sound good. That to me doesn't make any sense though, because he supposedly told us so many other things to do and how to behave. Why didn't he tell us something in there that would really count in today's society? Not how to trade your ox with two goats, or how to treat your slaves, or how to treat your woman, but something substantial that would really solidify the belief in a God. That to me, I can recite hundreds of other what-if situations and many questions to me that are not answered satisfactorily for me to believe in a God. Julius Sweeney, once comedian, now philosopher, so once said, "What looks invisible looks a lot like something that is non-existent." So listen to this next statement for a moment. Although this sentence is debatable, it has meaning. If you can't see something, does it exist? Well, the answer actually is maybe. We can't see gravity, radiation, atoms, or molecules, but we know they exist. Why? Because we see the effects of gravity all around us. We can repeatedly test it for it and come up with the same results. Same for radiation and small particles. This is what makes any supernatural being or power hard to examine. You can't see God directly. It has no mass. You can't examine it by its effect. You can examine it by its effects. But what if you started examining its effects like I did and concluded there was no effect? Would the power be non-existent? No, it would not be non-existent simply because you didn't find it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And this is what's called an unfalsifiable claim. You can't prove that it doesn't exist. You can't prove a negative hypothesis, in other words. So if I said there was an orbiting teapot around the earth, you couldn't prove it's not there. I said, well, it's too small for radar, it's too small for telescopes. You could not prove that it's not there. So I can't prove that a God or any supernatural power does not exist. What I can say that there is no empirical evidence of a God. And this makes me an agnostic atheist. An agnostic means I don't know if there is a God. But from what I can see, in my belief, there is no God. Another reason I'm an atheist is that there can't be just one religion that's right. Does everybody here that's a Christian think that their one religion is right and no other religions is right? Everybody? Okay, well, a few people didn't answer. Maybe they're asleep. Oh, and Susan over there. It brings to mind the I am right, you are wrong mentality. It seems to me that if one says that 1.2 billion Muslims are wrong, that one's religion is just a little bit arrogant. And there's even a religion out there with hundreds of millions of people in it, and they don't even believe there is a God, yet they are the most peaceful religion in the world. This is another reason why I kind of zero in on Christianity, because not only I don't believe in the religions, but Christianity happens to be the most destructive of all the religions. A wise man once said, good men do good things, bad men do bad things. It takes religion to make a good thing do bad things. A good man do bad things, excuse me. This is true for every person who has fought and died on the battlefield because they thought they were doing the right thing by following the wishes of the religious leaders. And it's still going on today, not necessarily by direct wars. But if you asked the 9/11 hijackers' families, what type of men were these men? These men killed so many people. Why did they do it? The family said,